Hi friends, happy Monday. Welcome back to our mini lesson for today. Today for our mini lesson, we're going to start a whole new unit of comprehension. So we've gone through a couple weeks of practicing the main idea and supporting details of reading a text, nonfiction, which is real with facts, or fiction, which are stories. We've also practiced our other comprehension strategy that we did last unit when we were visualizing and using characters and setting to help us understand the story better. So in this unit, we're going to practice a whole new comprehension strategy called sequencing. And we're going to learn a song, just like we always do, to help us understand what it means to sequence. So today we have 2 learning targets, since this is our very first lesson of a new comprehension strategy for our toolbox. So our first learning target says, I can identify what it means to sequence. So that by the end of the lesson, we should be able to understand what it means to sequence. What are we doing when we're sequencing? And that song is going to help us really understand what that means. And then our next learning target says, I can sequence the order of events. So we're going to practice looking at a poster today and talk about the order that something happened. So when we say sequence, that means that we're putting something in order. Just like when we've been working on our number line in math, we notice that when we count, we have a certain order to help us know what the number is, what number comes next, and how much is each number is worth in a group. So when we're sequencing in reading, there's a song that helps us remember different words to look for that tell us we're putting something in order. So the song goes like this. We say, sequencing, sequencing is putting things in order, putting things in order. First, next, then last, first, next, then last, sequencing, sequencing. So sequencing is putting something in order. Okay, so last week we read the story of the 3 little pigs. And if our story of the 3 little pigs was out of order, it wouldn't make any sense to our brains. Think about if the wolf fell into the pot first and then he started chasing the pigs to their houses and they were running away. Our brains would be so confused, like, what is going on here? So the order of a story is very important. So I want you to think for just a second. I want you to think about what you do at bedtime. So every night before bed, there's a certain order of things that I do in order to get ready for bed. First, I put on my pajamas. Next, I brush my teeth. Then I get in bed. And last, I fall asleep. So every single night, I follow that certain order. Is there a certain order that you do things when you go to bed? Maybe you read a book before you go to bed. Maybe you have story time where you tell stories or something that you did during the day. So think for just a second, and then I want you to share with somebody that is close by to you, or maybe a stuffed animal, or you can just talk to yourself out loud and think about the different things that you do. I want you to come up with at least 2 things that you do before bed. All right, great job. So now that we've got our brains thinking about the certain order of things that we do, we're going to take a look at a poster to help us as readers understand why that's important too. So on our poster, we only have 2 words. The words are in our title. It says, my flower. So the first thing that we're going to do as a reader is we're going to look at the pictures and see what the writer is trying to tell us as a reader. So I can already see in the picture that there are some numbers next to each window. And it looks like they're in number order. Since we've practiced that, I know that. So there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. So that must be important to look at as a reader. I also see that the title matches the picture. The title is My Flower. What do you see down here? Flowers. And it looks like there's a character. We don't fully see the character, but we can see the arm of the character. And it looks like the character must be planting something and taking care of a plant and then watching it grow. Ooh, and I see that that plant must be a flower. So as a reader, what we just did was determine the text importance. What is important? Why do I need to be looking at this poster, looking at the pictures? And why is the writer showing me these certain numbers that go with the pictures? So as readers, we can just read the pictures to tell what's going on. We see that she's planting a what? A seed into the soil. She uses her watering can and places the pot in front of the sunlight in order for that to grow. And once this plant has, or the seed has gotten plenty of water and sunlight, it looks like it grew into a flower. We know this because we know how plants grow. And we've talked about the certain order of planting a seed and watching it grow. We especially talked about that when we were talking about apples. So we can make connections already as readers and look at the important details to help us figure out what the writer wants us to know. So we just did something called sequencing. So one more time, let's sing our sequencing song. And then tomorrow we'll take a look at our next poster and talk more about why it's important to sequence. So I think I did the motion wrong a little earlier when we were singing, but it goes like this. Sequencing, sequencing is putting things in order, putting things in order. First, next, then last. First, next, then last. Sequencing, sequencing. Excellent job today, friends. We just added more to our toolbox of information in our brains. So kiss your brains and say, great job. Excellent. And I will see you again tomorrow for our next mini lesson.